The year is 1861, and the United States of America, barely 45 years old, is tearing itself apart from the inside. For decades, a bitter argument over slavery and states' rights has simmered beneath the surface, poisoning politics, friendships, and faith alike. The industrial North, booming with factories, railroads, and ambition, envisions a nation of free labor and expanding opportunity, while the agrarian South clings to a social and economic system built upon the backs of enslaved men, women, and children. Every election, every speech, every compromise has pushed the country closer to the edge, until Abraham Lincoln's victory in November 1860 strikes the final spark. To Southern eyes, his presidency means an end to their way of life. And so, one by one, the states of the Deep South secede: South Carolina first, then Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, forming the Confederate States of America. The air grows heavy with fear and pride. Newspapers scream treason in the North and tyranny in the South. Preachers thunder from pulpits about divine justice on both sides. Families argue at dinner tables. Towns fracture into factions, and what once bound Americans together now tears them apart. You can feel it in the streets, that low hum of tension, the sense that the nation itself is holding its breath. In Washington, politicians scramble to preserve unity, but diplomacy has failed. In Charleston, South Carolina, cannons are rolled into position facing Fort Sumter, the symbol of federal authority in a rebellious state. On April 12th, the first cannon fires, and with it, the illusion of peace dies forever. The boom echoes across the harbor, across the nation, and across history. The American Civil War has begun. From Maine to Texas, men stop and stare as news spreads through telegraph wires and shouted headlines. Some cheer, others weep, some thank God, others curse his name. And you imagine yourself there, Johnny, standing on a wooden porch as the news reaches your small town. The war feels far away but strangely personal, as though it's tugging at your very soul. Neighbors whisper about which side you'll take. Will you defend the Union, that grand idea of democracy and unity? Or will you fight for your homeland, your rights, your pride in a new Confederacy? Whatever you choose, the line between patriot and traitor is drawn not by geography, but by conscience. Men who grew up side by side now glare at each other across that invisible divide. The tension is unbearable, the rhetoric unforgiving. In just a few short weeks, the ideals of liberty and justice have turned into rallying cries for war. And now, as spring blooms across the divided land, the drums begin to beat, and you realize the storm has come. This war will not be quick. It will not be clean. It will not be glorious. It will be America's trial by fira, reckoning that will consume the lives of more than 600,000 souls before the smoke clears. The question is not whether the nation will survive. The question, Johnny, is whether you could. The shot at Fort Sumter is still echoing when the call to arms sweeps across the divided country like wildfire. Every town square fills with noise drums beating, bands blaring, flags unfurling in the hot spring air. In the North, men answer President Lincoln's summons to save the Union. In the South, voices rise to defend hearth and homeland. The excitement feels contagious, almost holy. and you can taste it in the dust kicked up by marching boots. Recruitment posters appear overnight on every fence post and tavern wall, promising steady pay, adventure, and immortal honor. Crowds surge around wooden tables where officers bark out oaths. Quills scratch across paper, and names, thousands of them, become entries in the great ledger of war. Boys barely 16 lie about their age. Men past 40 lie about their strength. In the swell of patriotism, logic drowns. No one imagines 4 years of blood, only 90 days of glory. Women stitch banners and sew uniforms, their needles flashing like bayonets in lamplight, while parades roll down cobblestone streets to the cheers of onlookers who believe the whole affair will be over by Christmas. You, too, feel the pulper, perhaps its pride, perhaps fear of shame if you stay behind. The uniform feels rough but proud on your shoulders. The musket in your hands is heavier than you expected. At home, your mother tries to smile as she pins a ribbon to your chest. Your father shakes your hand hard enough to hide the tremor in his own. Around you, other recruits joke and boast, pretending bravery they don't yet possess. The smell of horses, sweat, and gun oil fills the air. A bugle sounds, and suddenly you're part of a column that snakes its way through the town, heading toward the train that will carry you to the front. The cheers grow fainter as the train gathers speed, and outside the window, the fields blur into streaks of green and gold. The first night on the move feels like an adventure you sing. You laugh, you trade stories about how quickly you'll win and come home. Yet beneath the laughter lurks unease. One man whispers that the Confederates are better marksmen. Another swears the Yankees have more cannons. Still, you silence those thoughts with bravado, because to admit fear would break the spell. At every station, crowds greet you with food, flags, and blessings, calling you heroes before you've even seen a battlefield. It feels intoxicating. You believe every word because you have to be, because the alternative, the possibility of failure or death, is unthinkable. As the miles roll past, the air grows thicker, the nights colder. Some men start coughing already. Others clutch letters from sweethearts and stare at them in silence. But the momentum cannot be stopped. By the time dawn breaks over the camp where you'll first train, your illusions are already being tested. The laughter has quieted. The bravado has faded. The realization settles in like dew on the grass. The real war hasn't even begun. And yet it has already claimed something precious, sure, innocence. You are no longer just a farmer, clerk, or blacksmith. You are a soldier now, caught in a tide far larger than yourself, marching toward a history that will remember neither your face nor your name, only the cause for which you fought and the ground on which you fell. The dream of glory dies the moment you reach the training camp. You expected discipline, maybe discomfort, but not this. Endless mud, swarming flies, and the stench of sweat, smoke, and sickness. Rows of rough canvas tents stretch across a barren field that will soon turn to filth after the first rain. Men who were farmers and clerks only weeks ago now stumble through drills from dawn until darkness, their bodies aching, their tempers fraying. The sergeants bark orders that feel impossible to obey. Left, right, load, fire, march, repeatant till your muscles burn and your ears ring. You're learning not just to shoot, but to obey without question, to move like a machine. The romantic illusions of war vanish under the harsh sun and the even harsher officers. You wake before dawn to the shrill blast of the bugle and choke down breakfast, a tin cup of bitter coffee, a slab of salt pork so tough you could use it as a weapon, and a few crumbs of hardtack that could chip your teeth. Hygiene is a word few understand, and disease spreads faster than courage. The latrines overflow, the flies multiply, and the smell seeps into your clothes, your skin, your very soul. Within weeks, dozens fall, sick measles, typhoid, dysentery, diseases that kill silently in the night, long before a single bullet is fired. You share a tent with 5 others, and every cough sounds like a warning. The camp becomes a testing ground not for heroism, but for endurance. You march until your boots bleed and your shoulders bruise from the rifle's weight. You learn how to sleep on cold, wet ground, how to ignore hunger, how to stop caring about the lice crawling on your neck. Nights bring little rest. Men whisper about home, about sweethearts left behind, about the rumors of battles to come. Some write letters in the flickering candlelight. Others stare into the dark, silent, hollowed out by fear. And yet, amid the misery, something begins to change. You start to adapt. You stop flinching at the sergeant's shout. Your muscles grow hard, your body lean, your mind numb. You begin to understand that survival, not glory, is the real prize of war. You learn to read the sky for weather, to march in rhythm, to sleep anywhere, to wake to danger. You find companionship in shared suffering. The man beside you becomes a brother because he endures the same torment. Together, you learn to laugh at the misery, to find moments of humor in the filth, to sing songs that drown out the moans of the sick. Slowly, you stop being a civilian, pretending to be a soldier, and start becoming one in truth. You lose your softness, your hesitation, your innocence. You start to move with instinct, to obey without thought, to kill if commanded. And when you look at your reflection in a pool of muddy water one morning, you barely recognize the man staring back at you. His eyes are harder now, his face leaner, his spirit scarred, but his resolve unbreakable. That is what the Army wanted from you all along. The training camp was never about learning to fight. It was about learning to suffer and keep moving anyway. The real war hasn't even started yet, but already you understand this truth. Not everyone here will live to see it end. The morning of your first battle is almost beautiful, which makes it worse. The sky is clear, the air cool, the fields damp with dew, and for a brief moment, it feels like any other day. Then the cannons begin. The thunder of artillery shatters the calm, rolling across the hills like a storm, tearing the heavens apart. You grip your musket tighter, hands slick with sweat, heart pounding so hard it feels like it might tear free from your chest. Around you, men stand in ragged lines, some praying, some muttering jokes to hide their terror, others staring blankly into the smoke ahead. The officers ride up and down, shouting orders that are swallowed by the noise. You can smell it already: gunpowder, fear, sweat, and something faintly metallic, like blood, waiting to be spilled. When the first volley hits, it's chaos. The sound is deafening, a single, monstrous roar as muskets crack and cannons bellow. The air fills with white smoke, so thick you can barely see the man beside you. You load and fire by instinct, your hands trembling as you ram the cartridge down the barrel. Pull the hammer, aim at shadows, and fire again. Men scream, muskets misfire, and the ground shakes beneath the cannon blasts. You thought war would be about courage, about standing tall, but here, courage is just the act of not running when every instinct screams at you to flee. A man beside you falls one moment shouting, the next crumpled in the mud, his lifeless eyes staring upward. Another stumbles forward, clutching his stomach. The blood soaking through his gray or blue coated, doesn't matter which color. Both bleed the same. You barely have time to react before a shell explodes nearby, showering you with dirt and fragments of metal. The shock stuns you, your ears ringing, your mind struggling to make sense of anything. The officers are still shouting, waving their swords, but the lines are breaking. Some men drop their rifles and run, disappearing into the woods. Others stand frozen, waiting for orders that never come. You keep firing because it's the only thing you can do, the only thing that feels like control in a world gone mad. The smoke thickens, the air grows hot, and time loses all meaning. Minutes stretch into hours. When the order to charge comes, you move without thinking, stepping over the dead. Stumbling through the mud, bayonet fixed, mouth dry, lungs burning. The world becomes a blur of screams, steel, and smoke. Then, as suddenly as it began, the fighting ebbs. The cannon fire grows distant, the musket shots scatter, and silence creeps back like an unwelcome ghost. You stand amid the wreckage bodies, twisted in unnatural shapes. Rifles scattered like broken sticks. The earth churned and red. The victory, if it can be called that, means nothing. You feel no triumph, only exhaustion and disbelief. You expected to feel proud, maybe even heroic. Instead, you feel hollow. The faces of the dead enemy and friend alike stare up at the sky, their sacrifice already fading into the mud. You kneel beside one of them, a boy no older than 17, his face peaceful in death. For the first time, you truly understand what this war means. Not glory, not honor, but survival. The drumbeat of your heart is the only sound you hear. You survived your first battle, but the cost is more than you imagined. Something inside you has died too, something you will never get back. And this is only the beginning. When the smoke clears and the dead are counted, you realize something has changed inside you, something you can't undo. You're no longer the same person who left home with shining eyes and dreams of glory. That man died on the field with the others, buried somewhere beneath the mud and fear. What's left is someone harder, quieter, older, in a way that has nothing to do with years. The night after battle is a strange kind of silence. No speeches, no drums, just the low murmur of men too tired to speak and too haunted to sleep. The camp smells of blood, gunpowder, and wet earth. You sit by a dying fire, staring into the embers, your hands blackened with soot and dried blood. Around you, others do the same. No one talks about heroism anymore. Instead, they talk about who didn't make it, the friend who vanished in the smoke, the boy hit by a cannonball, the sergeant who kept shouting even as he bled out. You replay it all in your head until the images blur together, a nightmare loop of noise and horror. When sleep finally comes, it brings no rest. The battle follows you into your dreams, the flashes of light, the screams, the smell of burning powder. You wake before dawn, heart racing, sweat cold on your skin. But when the bugle sounds, you rise. You clean your rifle, you eat your hardtack, you line up again. That's what soldiers do. They move forward because stopping means thinking, and thinking means breaking. Over time, you learn to control the fear, to wear it like armor. The first time you saw a body torn apart, you wanted to run. Now, you barely flinch. The human mind adapts, or it shatters, and yours somehow bends without breaking. You learn to march on blistered feet, to joke through hunger, to find comfort in routine. The rituals of survival replace the rituals of civilian life. You stop counting the days because the war erases time. There is only now, only orders, only endurance. Letters from home come less often, and when they do, they feel like ghosts from another life, a reminder that somewhere beyond this madness, people are still living as if the world hasn't split in two. You envy them, but you can't imagine being them anymore. You've seen too much, changed too deeply. You start recognizing faces, not by name but by sound. The way a man laughs, the tune he hums when he's nervous. You measure friendship by who shares his last biscuit, who watches your back when the bullets fly. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you become one of them, a true soldier. You move with precision, fight without hesitation, think in orders and formations. You're part of a machine now, one fueled by discipline and desperation. But in the quiet moments, when the moon hangs pale over the camp and the world goes still, a question creeps in like smoke. Who will you be when this is over? Can a man who's lived through hell ever return to the life he left behind? You don't know the answer, and maybe you never will. For now, you only know this: the war has claimed your innocence, but it has given you something in return: the grim, unbreakable strength of survival. And though you can't yet see the long years ahead, the scars, the loss, and the endless miles of blood-soaked earth, one truth has already written itself into your bones. Once you become a soldier, you can never truly become anything else. The battle may pause, but the suffering never does. Life in camp is its own kind of war, a slower, quieter struggle, fought not with bullets, but with hunger, boredom, and disease. You wake each morning to the sour smell of smoke and sweat, your stomach already hollow. Breakfast is a ritual of disappointment. Hardtack so dry it shatters when you bite it. A slice of salt pork glistening with fat and rot. A tin cup of coffee thick as mud and twice as bitter. Some mornings the rations don't come at all. The supply wagons bogged down in rain-soaked roads or intercepted by enemy scouts. Then you and your comrades scavenge like animals, boiling shoe leather or roasting corn stolen from nearby fields. Hunger gnaws at discipline faster than fear ever could. Men trade tobacco for crumbs, fight over scraps, and guard their meager portions with the suspicion of wolves. Officers write glowing reports about morale. But in the tents you hear the truth, the moans of the sick, the muttered curses against quartermasters, the whispered plans to desert. Yet even starvation becomes routine. You learn to measure your life by the taste of salt and smoke, to find comfort in the simple act of chewing. The soldiers joke that the hardtack is indestructible. Some carve it into dominoes, others toss it at rats. You laugh because if you don't, you'll break. On good days, you catch a whiff of something better, A stew cooked over an open fire, thick with beans and bits of meat. It smells like heaven, and for a few blessed minutes, the camp almost feels like home. But soon the pot is empty again, and reality returns. The stronger men grow gaunt, the weaker ones fade altogether, carried away on stretchers to shallow graves beyond the camp line. You stop counting how many die each week. Numbers lose meaning when death becomes ordinary. The body adapts in cruel ways. Your stomach shrinks, your hands tremble less, your thoughts slow down, conserving energy for the next march, the next meal, the next breath. At night, you dream of bread, of fruit, of the warm kitchens left behind. And when you wake to another dawn of smoke and ash, you almost forget the taste of anything fresh. Hunger, like war, becomes part of you, a dull, persistent ache that never leaves. And yet, somehow, you endure. You share what you can, pass a scrap to the boy beside you, crack a joke to make him smile. Misery binds men tighter than loyalty ever could. In this place, survival is not about bravery or skill. It's about finding small reasons to keep going. A laugh, a song, the promise of mail from home. Even a single biscuit can feel like a miracle. You begin to understand why the veterans look the way they do. Thin, quiet, eyes like ghosts. They've seen this all before. They know that battles are won by those who can outlast hunger, by men whose bodies are empty, but whose wills refuse to die. And when you take your next bite of the tasteless hardtack, you realize that as long as you can still chew, still swallow, still stand, you're winning a different kind of battle, the one against despair itself. The days blur together in the camp, drills, rations, the endless waiting until the mail wagon rolls in. Then, for a few precious hours, the war pauses. Word spreads like wildfire, mail's here, and men drop everything, crowding around the quartermaster's table as if salvation itself had arrived in a canvas sack. You stand among them, heart hammering, your name echoing somewhere in that long list. Each letter is a lifeline, a thread that ties you to a world you can barely remember. When your name is finally called, your hands shake as you take the small folded paper, its edges smudged, its surface damp with the sweat of travel. You sit apart under a tree or beside a fire and unfold it slowly, as if afraid it might crumble. The words spill out in familiar handwriting, your mother's, your wife's, your brother's, and suddenly the distance between you and home feels both infinite and unbearably close. The letter smells faintly of smoke and soap, the scent of home, and for a moment the camp disappears. You can almost hear her voice, see the fields you left behind, taste the bread she mentions baking in her last line. Some men laugh as they read, others cry openly, their faces wet and unashamed. The camp becomes a symphony of emotion, laughter, sobs, quiet prayers. One man reads his letter aloud, every word like a sermon. Another clutches his to his chest, refusing to share even a single line. But not everyone receives one. Those left empty-handed force a smile, pretending they don't care, though their eyes betray them. They linger near others, listening for news of familiar towns, for any reminder that they still belong somewhere. Letters become the only measure of time, the heartbeat of camp life. You count the days between deliveries, you memorize every line, you reread them until the ink fades, and yet each letter carries its own weight, joy and sorrow mixed together. You read about the harvest, about neighbors gone to fight, about the deaths of friends, about children growing up faster than they should. You feel guilt for being away, for surviving when others at home are starving or grieving. Sometimes the words are full of hope. Sometimes they tremble with fear, pleading for your safe return. And sometimes, Johnny, no letter comes at all. Weeks pass, then months. You begin to imagine every reason why. Maybe the roads are impassable. Maybe your family moved. Maybe the worst has happened. The silence becomes its own kind of torment. Men who once laughed start to withdraw, their eyes fixed on the horizon during mail call, waiting for a name that never comes. When the letters do arrive, even the bad ones are treasures. One soldier reads that his house burned down. Another learns his wife has died of fever. Both break down, yet clutch the paper like it's the last piece of their old life, because it is. The words connect you to who you were before the war, before the mud and blood and endless marching. They remind you that somewhere beyond this nightmare, there are people who still love you, who still believe you'll come home. You fold the letter carefully, tuck it into your breast pocket, close to your heart, where it will stay until the paper disintegrates. It's more than just ink and paper now. It's armor. Every word gives you strength to face another day, another battle, another sunrise in this place of death. In the end, the war may strip you of comfort, dignity, and peace. But as long as you can still receive a letter from home, as long as you can still remember what home feels like, you're not entirely lost. In war, blood may bind a family, but mud makes a brotherhood. Out here, in the endless gray between battles, friendship isn't built with words. It's forged in hunger, sweat, and rain. You come to know the men around you in ways deeper than kinship. You share everything, the same lice, the same damp blankets, the same fear that each sunrise might be your last. You learn each other's habits, who snores loudest, who hums while cleaning his musket, who always offers a piece of hardtack, even when he's starving. These small things become sacred. They make the suffering bearable. The army teaches you how to fight, but the men teach you how to survive. You joke in the face of misery, invent songs to mock the officers, carve crude chess pieces from spent bullets. You find laughter in the filth because it's the only weapon you have left against despair. When it rains, and it always rains, the camp becomes a swamp, a sea of muck, where boots vanish and tempers flare. But even then, when the fire won't light and your clothes cling cold to your skin, someone will crack a joke or start humming a tune from home, and somehow the world feels lighter. You share secrets around those soggy fires, stories of lost loves, dreams of farms and families waiting back home. Some men talk about the future as if they still believe in it. Others, quieter ones, just listen, their eyes distant, already halfway gone. When a comrade falls sick, you take turns nursing him, spooning water to his lips, keeping watch through the fevered nights. You bury your dead with your own hands, mark their graves with sticks and stones, promise silently to remember their names. That promise becomes your prayer. In the rare moments of peace, you build makeshift shelters, patch torn uniforms, write letters for those who can't read. You learn to depend on each other, not just for protection, but for meaning. In this place, where the world feels stripped to its bones, The only thing left worth holding on to is the man beside you. And you do hold on, through the cold, through the hunger, through the fear that the next volley will tear you both apart. Sometimes you fight like brothers too, over rations, over rumors, over nothing at all. But the anger fades as quickly as it comes, washed away by the knowledge that you need each other more than air. When one of you is wounded, you don't hesitate. You run into gunfire to drag him back. Not because it's heroic, but because you can't stand the thought of facing tomorrow without him. The bond becomes unspoken, unbreakable, a pact written in mud and blood. It's in the way you pass a canteen during a march, in the way you share a blanket on freezing nights, in the way you sit side by side after a battle, saying nothing, just breathing the same air. You realize that the war may end someday, but this brotherhood will outlive it. It's the one thing that feels pure in a world gone insane. Years later, when the guns are silent and the flags are folded, you'll struggle to remember the speeches or the victories, but you'll remember the faces, the laughter, the eyes that met yours through smoke and rain, the men who stood beside you when everything else fell away. In the end, you don't fight for country or glory. You fight for them, the brothers the war gave you and the ones it took away. Night in camp is never truly silent. Even when the guns rest and the fires burn low, the war whispers all around you. You hear it in the wind that carries the faint echo of cannon fire miles away, in the coughs of the sick, in the restless shuffling of men who can't find peace in their sleep. You lie on the hard ground, wrapped in a thin blanket, staring up at a sky too vast to care. The stars look the same as they did back home, and that somehow makes it worse. You wonder if someone you love might be looking at them too, unaware that you're lying awake beneath the same cold light, afraid to close your eyes. In the distance, a single shot cracks, maybe a sentry firing at a shadow, maybe something worse. The sound cuts through the night like a reminder that even rest is dangerous here. Then comes the low moan from the surgeon's tent. You don't want to hear it, but you can't escape it. The ragged breathing, the muttered prayers, the screams muffled by cloth. The wounded never truly sleep. The doctors work by candlelight, their hands slick with blood, their saws scraping bone. You've seen it before, during the day, but somehow it's worse at night. The darkness amplifies everything, every sound, every smell. You can hear the flies buzzing even in the dark, drawn to the bandages that never stay clean. Sometimes a man's voice will rise above the rest, begging for mercy, for water, for his mother, and then it stops. You never hear the moment he dies, only the silence that follows, heavier than the noise ever was. You pull the blanket tighter, but it doesn't stop the chill that creeps through your bones. You tell yourself you'll get used to it, that this is just another part of war, but you don't. Every death you hear feels like a small piece of yourself being carved away. The next morning, you'll pass the row of bodies wrapped in canvas, lined up neatly like firewood, and you'll know some of those voices from the night before. The living nod to the dead as they walk by, a quiet acknowledgement, a soldier's farewell. There are no tears left to shed. Instead, you start to measure your nights not by how long you sleep, but by how long you don't wake up to the sound of dying. Some men talk in their sleep, calling out names, shouting orders, sometimes crying softly. You listen because it feels wrong not to. The war doesn't just kill bodies, Johnny. It eats away at minds. You see it in the vacant stares at dawn, in the way men flinch at sudden sounds. Even laughter sounds different now, strained, fragile, like glass ready to break. You realize that fear isn't the loud kind. It's quiet, constant, invisible. It seeps into your bones and lives there. And yet, somehow, morning always comes. The sky turns pale, the fires are stoked again, and the camp comes alive with motion, as if the night never happened. You rise with the others, your face blank, your hands steady. But deep inside, you carry the echoes of what you heard, the moans, the silence, the reminder that death is never far, it just waits its turn. And as you shoulder your musket and fall into line for roll call, you wonder if tonight the sound of death nearby will finally call your name. Long after the guns fall silent and the smoke clears, death still walks the camp, unseen but everywhere. Disease is the enemy that never retreats, the assassin that strikes without warning. It comes in the night, creeping through the rows of tents, finding its victims not on the battlefield, but in their sleep. You can smell it before you see it, that sour, sweet rot that clings to the air, a mix of sweat, decay, and medicine. The surgeons call it dysentery, typhoid, malaria, pneumonia, but to the men, it's all the same, a slow surrender. The wounded and the well sleep side by side, and by morning, one of them doesn't wake. The latrines overflow, flies swarm over everything, and the river where you wash your face runs brown with filth. You try not to think about it as you fill your canteen, but the water tastes wrong, metallic, sickly, and you drink it anyway because thirst doesn't care. The medics do what they can. They boil rags, they mix quinine with whiskey, they pray. The hospital tents are full, rows of cots stretching into the shadows, each occupied by a man barely clinging to breath. You hear coughing day and night, dry, rattling, endless. The sound becomes the pulse of camp life. No one talks about it anymore. When you get sick, the others look away, pretending not to notice. They've seen too many die already. They can't bear to watch another go. You lie there sweating through fever, your mind drifting in and out, hearing the world blur into a murmur of pain and prayer. Sometimes, in the haze, you see faces, your mother, your sweetheart, your brothers in arms, but they fade like smoke. The disease strips you of dignity first, then strength, then hope. You can't hold your rifle, can't stand, can't even speak. The chaplain comes by with his quiet voice and gentle hands, offering words of comfort that fall like whispers into the void. Around you, men die quietly, their breaths fading into nothing. The dead are carried out before dawn, laid in shallow graves, and by breakfast, someone else is sleeping in their spot. The war machine doesn't pause for mourning. It just keeps moving, fueled by human flesh. The officers keep count, but numbers mean nothing when you've seen the faces. Some men lose their minds before their bodies, muttering nonsense, clawing at the ground, laughing at ghosts. You start to wonder if death by disease is kinder than a bullet. At least a bullet is quick. This is waiting. And yet, somehow, some of you live. The fever breaks. You wake one morning drenched in sweat, weak as a child, but breathing. The sunlight through the canvas feels like salvation. The survivors emerge thinner, hollower, eyes sunken but burning with a strange light. the look of men who have fought death and won, if only for a little while. You share what little strength you have, propping up the sick, carrying water, washing the dead. There's no honor in it, no medals, no stories written after, but it's this quiet fight against filth, against fever, against the unseen that defines the soldier's endurance more than any charge across a battlefield. Because war isn't just about who can kill, it's about who can keep living. And as you sit by the fire that night, listening to the soft coughing still echoing in the dark, you realize that the invisible enemy has taught you the harshest lesson of all. Survival isn't victory, it's just the chance to face tomorrow. The order comes at dawn, and by the time the sun climbs over the horizon, you're marching straight into hell. The air is already thick with the smell of smoke and sulfur, the sky bruised with the haze of cannon fire. You can feel the vibration of the guns in your chest, the earth trembling underfoot like some living thing in pain. The officers shout, their words swallowed by the roar of artillery, and the column moves forward. Hundreds of men, shoulder to shoulder, hearts pounding in rhythm with the drums. The first shell lands somewhere ahead, a dull thud followed by a shower of dirt and screams. You flinch, but keep walking, because everyone else does. That's how it works. You keep moving until something stops you. The line halts at the edge of a clearing. Across the open field, you can see them, the enemy, a blur of blue or gray. It doesn't matter anymore. The air shimmers with heat and smoke. The command comes down the line. Ready? Aim, fire, and the world erupts. The musket recoils hard against your shoulder. Your ears ring, your mouth fills with the taste of powder. Around you, men drop like marionettes with their strings cut. The smell of blood mixes with burning grass, with sweat, with the acrid stench of death. You load and fire again, barely aware of what you're doing, your body moving on pure instinct. Somewhere to your left, a man screams for his mother. Another clutches the stump where his arm used to be. The surgeon's wagon waits behind the lines, its wheels already slick with red. The noise is beyond sound, now a single crushing roar of chaos that feels endless. You stop hearing commands. You just act. Fire, reload, duck, rise, fire again. Smoke blinds you. Your eyes sting, and when the wind shifts, you finally see what's happening. The ground ahead is littered with bodies, twisted in unnatural ways, uniforms torn, faces unrecognizable. You realize that the beautiful green field you marched through an hour ago has become a graveyard. A cannonball whistles past your head and slams into the line behind you, scattering men like rag dolls. You feel the heat of it, the sting of dirt hitting your face. Your heart is a hammer in your chest, but you keep firing, because stopping would mean thinking, and thinking would mean breaking. You look to your right, the man who shared his last biscuit with you yesterday. He's gone. No sound, no drama, just gone. You don't even have time to grieve. The captain waves his sword, voice hoarse from shouting, leading a charge into the smoke. You follow without hesitation, bayonet fixed, lungs burning, feet pounding through mud and bodies. Time slows. The air is filled with shouts, gunfire, steel on steel. You meet the enemy up close now, faces only inches away, eyes wide with the same terror you feel. You thrust, parry, swing, the noise and fury consume you. For a moment, you feel nothing, no fear, no thought, just survival. Then it's over. The enemy falls back, the gunfire fades, and the world suddenly feels too quiet. You stand there, trembling, covered in sweat and ash, your rifle shaking in your hands. Around you, the field is a ruin, smoke drifting low, the cries of the wounded cutting through the silence. You survived again. But as you look down at your hands, black with soot and blood, you realize that something inside you didn't. Each battle burns away another piece of the man you were. And as the stretcher bearers move through the carnage, gathering what's left, you understand why they call it the Inferno. Because once you've been inside it, you're never truly clean again. When the guns fall quiet, the first thing you notice isn't the silence, it's the smell. It crawls through the smoke, thick and sour, clinging to your clothes, your hair, your very breath. It's the smell of blood baked in the sun, of gunpowder and burned flesh, of bodies left too long where they fell. It seeps into the ground, into the trees, into you. You try not to breathe too deeply, but there's no escaping it. The battlefield stretches out before you like the end of the world, a vast, colorless wasteland where life has been stripped bare. The grass is trampled, the soil churned into mud, the color of rust. Everywhere you look, there are shapes that used to be men. Some lie still, others twitch faintly, reaching out for help that will never come. You want to look away, but you can't. You step carefully, each footfall a betrayal of the silence. The crows have already begun to gather, their black wings flashing against the pale sky. You hear their cries before you see them, circling lower, fearless, now that the noise has stopped. The surgeons and stretcher bearers move among the dead like ghosts, their faces gray with exhaustion. They don't speak. There's nothing left to say. You kneel beside a fallen comrade, someone you marched beside for months, someone who once sang to keep your spirits high on long nights. His face is gone, his name tag soaked through, and for a moment you can't even be sure it's him. You whisper his name anyway. No answer. You feel something crack inside, not loudly, but quietly, like a branch breaking underfoot. You tell yourself you'll bury him, but there are too many. The air hums with flies. They land on your hands, on your food, on your face. You swat them away, and they return instantly. The living work fast because the smell grows worse by the minute, sweet and heavy, impossible to describe. It's not just death, it's decay, transformation, nature reclaiming what war has taken. The priests murmur over mass graves, while men dig with whatever tools they can find. Sometimes the trenches fill with water before the bodies do, and the gravediggers curse the rain, curse the mud, curse God. You help lift another body, light as a child now, and something in your stomach turns. You retch, but nothing comes up. There's nothing left to bring up. You've learned to swallow it all, the fear, the grief, the stench. Around you, the wounded moan softly. Some beg for water, others for a bullet to end it. You give them sips from your canteen, whisper lies that everything will be all right. You can't tell them the truth, that no one is coming, that help is days away, that half of them will be gone by nightfall. The sun sinks low, casting long shadows across the field, and still the smell lingers, heavier now, almost visible in the air. You light a small fire, not for warmth, but to mask the odor with smoke. It doesn't help. The flames flicker over broken rifles, torn flags, and the faces of men who will never go home. As darkness settles, you sit with your back to a tree and finally breathe through your mouth, trying not to taste the rot that fills the world. You realize this smell will never leave you, even years later, when the war is over and you're back among the living. A whiff of damp earth or smoke will bring it all back. The battlefield, the silence, the faces, and the stench of humanity undone. The smell of death, you learn, is the scent of memory, and memory never fades. No army report can account for the missing. They vanish between lines, swallowed by the smoke and chaos. Their names reduced to ink on a list that never feels complete. The lost are the ones you remember most, not because of how they died, but because you never saw it happen. One moment they were beside you, shouting, laughing, alive. The next, gone. Maybe a shell buried them. Maybe a bullet found them in the fog. Maybe they just kept walking in the wrong direction and never came back. You spend days telling yourself they might still be alive, that they're prisoners, that they'll stumble into camp someday, grinning and hungry, asking for coffee. But deep down, you know, the war doesn't return what it takes. At dusk, you and a few others search the fields, calling their names into the smoke, listening for a voice that never answers. Sometimes you find pieces, a hat, a rifle, a blood-stained letter, fragments of a person who was once whole. You pick them up carefully, as if touching something sacred, because, in a way, you are. The officer's right, missing in action. But those 3 words mean nothing to the men who shared his fire, his jokes, his last crust of bread. To you, it's a wound that never closes. The left behind are harder still. They're the ones too broken to move the wounded, lying in ditches, clutching their stomachs, whispering for water. You hear them when you retreat, their cries following you through the night like ghosts. Don't leave me, they call, and you tell yourself you'll come back for them, but you don't. You can't. Orders pull you forward, and mercy is a luxury you can't afford. You march knowing some of your brothers are still out there, waiting, dying slow deaths under the stars. You see their faces in the smoke, in your dreams, in every shadow that moves. Some men volunteer to search when the fighting stops, combing the fields with lanterns, stepping carefully between bodies, whispering names like prayers. They find a few, but not enough. The rest become part of the land, lost to time, buried where they fell, their bones mingling with the soil. The war will move on without them. New recruits will fill their spaces. New names will be shouted at roll call, and the lost will fade into the background hum of history. But you don't forget. You carry them with you in the quiet moments when the night grows still, when the fire burns low, when a familiar tune drifts through the air. You hear their laughter in the wind, their footsteps behind you on lonely marches. You start talking to them without realizing it, muttering under your breath as if they're still beside you. And maybe, in some way, they are. War doesn't end when the shooting stops. It ends when you stop remembering, but you never do. You keep their stories alive because it's the only way to make sense of the senseless. When you finally go home, if you go home, you'll see faces in the crowd that remind you of them. You'll turn your head, expecting to see your friend waving, your brother in arms, smiling that same lopsided grin. But it won't be him. It'll never be him. The world will move on, but part of you will always be stuck in that fog, still searching, still calling, still hoping for an answer that will never come. The lost and the left behind, they haunt the living, not as ghosts, but as promises never kept. And in every silence, after a battle, you swear you can still hear them, whispering from the smoke, reminding you that the price of survival is remembrance. The tents are full tonight. Canvas walls ripple in the wind, lanterns sway, and the air inside is thick with the smell of blood, whiskey, and carbolic acid. Every sound is close the rasp of a saw, the hiss of boiling water, the low moan of a man trying not to scream. You step inside, and the noise of the battlefield fades, replaced by something worse, the voices of the dying. They speak in fragments, in whispers, in fevered ramblings that cling to you long after you leave. A boy no older than 16 murmurs about his horse, asking if someone will feed it when he's gone. Another begs the doctor to save his hand. The surgeon doesn't answer, only tightens the strap and keeps sawing. A man with a bullet lodged in his lung coughs blood into a rag and apologizes for the mess. Everywhere you look, there's motion hands, binding wounds, lifting limbs, wiping sweat. The floor is slick, the air too hot. The lantern light makes the blood look black. You kneel beside one of them because someone has to, and he grips your sleeve with surprising strength. His eyes are wild, glassy, terrified. "Tell my wife," he gasps, but he can't finish. You nod anyway. You tell every man you'll deliver his message, though you know you can't keep all those promises. The doctor moves from cat to cat, muttering to his assistants, his face gray with exhaustion. There are no clean bandages left, no morphine, no rest. The only mercy here is speed. Outside, the rain starts again, pattering against the canvas, drowning out the softer sounds, the prayers that fade mid-sentence. You step out for air, but it doesn't help. The stench clings to your skin, your clothes, your memory. You look back through the flap and see faces lit by the trembling lantern, light some calm, some contorted, all fading. You realize death isn't one great moment of drama. It's slow, uneven, pitiful. It's a soldier whispering his child's name until his breath runs out. You start to listen differently, not to the words, but to the tones, the rhythm of their fear. One man hums a hymn until his voice cracks. Another recites a list of names, like a roll call. A few call out to God, but most call for someone human: mother, brother, sweethearts, someone real enough to hold on to as the darkness takes them. You begin to answer them even when you don't know what to say. You hold their hands. You lie to them if you must. You promise that they'll make it home. You do it because it matters, not to them, maybe, but to you. In their last moments, you see reflections of yourself, of every soldier who's still breathing only by chance. By dawn, the moaning quiets. The surgeon's sleeves are red to the elbows, his eyes hollow. Outside, the rain has stopped, and the camp smells of wet earth and death. You help carry the bodies out, one by one. Each face looks peaceful now, almost innocent, as if the war finally let them go. You whisper a prayer you barely remember, then stand there, watching the sun bleed over the horizon. The voices of the dying fade into the wind, but they never truly leave you. For the rest of your life, whenever the world goes still, you'll hear them again, the murmurs, the hymns, the last words hanging in the air like smoke, reminding you that every victory in war is bought with someone's final breath. When the battle is over, the world feels wrong, too still, too quiet, too empty. The smoke hangs low, across the fields, like a ghost that refuses to leave. And the sun, when it finally rises, looks pale and sickly, unable to warm the ground, littered with the dead. You walk through what was once a meadow, your boots sinking into the mud made of blood, rain, and earth. Every step brings a crunch or a squelch, and you don't dare look too closely at what lies beneath. The air still trembles faintly with the memory of thunder, but the cannons are silent now, their barrels cold, their purpose spent. Men move slowly, as if underwater, some searching for friends, others collecting weapons, a few just wandering aimlessly, dazed, half-mad. The victors and the defeated look the same here. There's no triumph, only survival. You find a tree that somehow still stands and lean against it, too tired to sit, too afraid to close your eyes. Around you, the stretcher bearers do their work in grim silence. The chaplain kneels beside a pile of bodies, whispering the same prayer again and again until the words lose their meaning. You wonder how long it will take to forget this day, but then realize forgetting isn't possible. It's already written into your bones. Someone laughs nearby, a high, broken sound that dies almost instantly, and you realize that's how insanity begins. The ground steams under the morning sun, and the air hums with flies. You take out the biscuit you've been saving and try to eat, but the taste turns your stomach. You throw it away and stare at your hands instead, stained brown and red, the lines of your palms filled with grime. You remember how your mother used to say, "A man's hands tell his story." You wonder what she would see in yours now. A few yards away, a horse limps past, one leg dragging uselessly. Someone puts it out of its misery, and the gunshot startles everyone. Even though the battle's over, the sound feels like a cruel reminder. As the day wears on, the cleanup begins. Shovels clink against stone, carts creak under the weight of bodies, and men dig trenches where flowers once grew. There's no ceremony, no music, only necessity. You help lift a stretcher, and as the canvas sags under the weight, you catch a glimpse of a familiar face. You look away before your mind can place it. Later, when the sun dips again, the camp settles into a hush that feels heavier than gunfire. Someone builds a small fire, and you sit around it with the others, staring into the flames. No one speaks. The smoke rises straight into the night, carrying the day's ghosts with it. You think of the men who won't see tomorrow, of the letters that will never reach home, of the promises made and broken. You think about what the generals will call this victory, a turning point, a glorious stand. Feel something dark twist inside you. They'll never smell what you've smelled, never see what you've seen. They'll never understand that the aftermath of battle isn't peace. It's just another kind of war, one fought inside your head against memories that refuse to die. When sleep finally comes, it isn't rest. You dream of the smoke, of the faces, of the field that never ends. You wake with a start, heart racing, reaching for your rifle, even though the night is quiet. The stars look down like indifferent witnesses, cold and countless. You realize the war will go on tomorrow, and the day after that. And for as long as men keep believing glory is worth this, you stand, stretch, and walk away from the fire, the glow fading behind you. The battlefield is silent now, but it's not over. It never is. The aftermath lives in you. It's the weight you'll carry long after the guns have gone silent. The days between battles are the strangest of all, too long, too quiet, too full of time you don't know how to use. You wake with the sun, not to the sound of bugles or gunfire, but to the soft rustle of wind in the tents, the murmur of men stirring from uneasy sleep. The air smells of damp earth, unwashed bodies, and the faint, lingering bite of gunpowder. You stretch your sore limbs and realize you've survived another night, though you're not sure whether that feels like a blessing or a curse. The camp comes alive slowly, the clatter of tin cups, the hiss of coffee boiling over small fires, the low hum of voices trading stories no one really wants to hear. Some men write letters home, scratching words onto scraps of paper, trying to sound brave for mothers and wives who will never know what the front truly looks like. Others just sit staring into the fire, their eyes empty, seeing something far away and terrible. You patch your clothes, clean your rifle, count your rations. Routine is the only thing that keeps you sane. There are drills, of course, endless drills that feel cruelly absurd when half your company still bears the bandages from the last fight. The officer's bark commands two men who no longer hear the difference between orders and noise. When the weather turns bad, the mud swallows the camp whole. Tents sag, boots rot, fires sputter out. You spend hours huddled under a wet blanket, dreaming of a bed, a roof, the smell of bread. Sometimes a song starts up, a lonely tune carried on a harmonica, or sung by a voice cracked from smoke and fatigue. For a moment, the camp feels almost human. You think of home, the kitchen, the laughter, the people who used to call your name, and for a heartbeat, you forget the war. But the spell always breaks. A messenger rides through, a cannon fires in the distance, someone screams in their sleep. Night comes fast, bringing with it the cold and the whispers of fear. The fires burn low, shadows stretch long, and every sound, the snapping of a twig, the hoot of an owl, feels like a warning. You lie on the hard ground and stare at the stars, wondering if the men on the other side of the line are doing the same. Maybe they are. Maybe they're just as tired, just as scared, just as desperate to live through another sunrise. The waiting gnaws at you more than battle ever could. At least in the fight, you have something to do, some direction for your fear. Here, in the quiet, it festers. You start to think too much about death, about luck, about what it means to still be breathing when better men are gone. You learn that war isn't fought only with guns. It's fought with patience, with boredom, with the endless, slow grind of time. The days blurred together. Drill, eat, wait, sleep, repeat. And yet, amid all the monotony, life stubbornly clings on. Men laugh, play cards, swap stories, steal sips of whiskey. Someone carves initials into a tree. Someone else writes poetry on the back of a ration label. You realize that survival isn't just about dodging bullets. It's about remembering what it feels like to be alive. When the orders finally come and the march begins again, you feel something close to relief. The waiting is over. The noise will return. The world will catch fire again, and for a few brief hours, you'll have purpose. But as you shoulder your pack and glance back at the camp, you know you'll miss it, the strange calm, the fragile brotherhood, the quiet days between battles where, for a moment, you could almost pretend you were human again. There's a kind of electricity that runs through camp when the mail wagon finally arrives. Men who haven't smiled in weeks suddenly look 10 years younger, shouting names, pushing through the crowd, desperate to hear theirs called. The letters are small, worn, smudged, with the fingerprints of the people who sent them: wives, mothers, sweethearts, sisters. They smell faintly of soap, of home, of everything you've been missing. You take yours with trembling hands, afraid to open it and afraid not to. Inside, the handwriting is uneven, rushed, full of emotion. You can almost feel pulsing from the page. We miss you. The garden's growing. Your little boy took his first steps. Simple words, but they hit harder than any cannon shot. You read them slowly, over and over, trying to memorize every line, every loop of every letter. For a few minutes, you're not in camp anymore. You're back in that small kitchen or on that familiar porch, hearing laughter instead of gunfire. The world softens. You can almost taste your mother's bread, smell your father's pipe, hear your child's voice. It hurts, but it's the kind of pain that keeps you human. Around you, the camp has gone quiet. Some men laugh, others cry openly, not caring who sees. One man reads his letter aloud because he can't stand to keep it inside. Another just holds his to his chest and stares at nothing, lips moving silently. There are men who receive no letters at all, who sit alone and pretend they don't mind. Those are the hardest to look at, the ones left out of the world they're dying to protect. You share a few words with them, maybe a joke, maybe a piece of your bread. Because in war, loneliness can kill just as easily as a bullet. Later, by firelight, you write your own letter home. The paper is rough, the ink faint, your words clumsy. You don't tell the truth you can't. You don't describe the smell of the battlefield, or the way your hands still shake when it's quiet. You say you're fine, that the food's good, that the men are brave. You tell them not to worry. You make promises you don't know if you can keep. The pencil shakes as you sign your name, and when you finish, you sit there, staring at the letter, wondering if it will ever reach them, if they'll still be there when you come home. Some men tuck their letters into their jackets before battle, as if the words themselves could stop a bullet. Others burn them after reading, unable to bear the ache of remembering. But no matter what they do, those letters become part of them, a fragile tether between the living and the waiting. At night, the camp glows with the dim light of fires and the rustle of paper. 100 men whispering to ghosts, to memories, to the lives they left behind. You realize that these letters are more than words. They're hope made visible, folded neatly and carried in a breast pocket close to the heart. You watch a man kiss his letter before falling asleep, as if it were a prayer. You do the same, because when everything else has been stripped away, your home, your safety, your innocence, and tomorrow, when the bugle sounds and the march begins again, you'll tuck that letter into your coat, right over your heart, and walk into the unknown with the strength of those words inside you. War isn't all noise and chaos. Most of it is waiting, long, empty hours that stretch like years. You wake, you eat, you clean your rifle, you wait. The sound of gunfire fades to memory, replaced by the dull rhythm of camp life. Footsteps in mud, the clang of tin cups, the same old jokes told over and over until they lose meaning. Boredom seeps into your bones like cold rain, heavy and relentless. At first, you hate it. Then, you realize it's what keeps you sane. The boredom becomes a kind of peace, temporary, fragile, but real. You start to notice the small things, the way smoke curls from a fire, the creak of wagon wheels, the sound of someone softly humming an old tune. The men around you, once strangers, begin to feel like brothers. You know their voices in the dark, their habits, their fears. You share everything: food, stories, lice, laughter. You learn to laugh at things that aren't funny, because if you don't, the silence will eat you alive. One man, Private Harris, tells stories about home every night, as if by speaking, he can summon it back into being. Another, a farm boy named Tucker, carves little wooden animals with a dull knife, giving one to anyone who looks particularly homesick. There's a kind of beauty in their small acts of defiance, men refusing to let war strip away their humanity. You start to see that friendship here isn't built on words. It's built on survival. You share the same smoke, the same fear, the same hunger. When one man laughs, everyone laughs. When one man falls silent, everyone feels it. In the evenings, you sit around the fire and tell lies about the future. When this war is done, someone says, "I'll build a house with windows that never close." Another says, he'll never wear shoes again, tired of the blisters and mud. You all promise to visit each other someday, though deep down, you know most of you won't live to keep those promises. Still, you make them, because hope is the only currency left. Sometimes, the boredom gives way to mischief. The men play cards, gamble, steal rations, even stage mock battles to pass the time. Once, a group of them found an old banjo and made music out of it, their laughter echoing through the night. For a moment, it felt like the world was whole again. You realize that the enemy isn't always the man on the other side of the line. It's the emptiness, the endless waiting, the doubt that seeps in when the guns go quiet. That's why brotherhood matters. It's the rope you hold on to when everything else is slipping away. One night, during a storm, you huddle together under a leaking tent, lightning flashing across the sky. The rain pounds so hard you can't hear each other speak, but you don't need to. Just being close is enough. You think of how strange it is that in the middle of war, you've found something like family. These men, scarred and filthy, are the only ones who understand what it costs to stay alive out here. When one of them falls sick or gets wounded, the loss cuts deep, not because you were supposed to be friends, but because you already were. You share everything, including grief. And when the orders come again, when it's time to march, you move together, not as soldiers following commands, but as brothers who know that if one of you falls, the others will carry him as far as they can. That's what the boredom teaches you. Not patience, not endurance, but love in the unlikeliest of places. In the silence between battles, amid the mud and the monotony, you discover the only thing the war can't destroy: each other. You learn quickly that war doesn't just kill with gunfire. It kills in the dark corners of the camp, in the stagnant puddles where mosquitoes breed, in the half-rotten food and the foul water you drink because there's no other choice. Disease spreads faster than rumors. One man coughs, and by morning, 3 more are shivering under blankets. By nightfall, the moaning begins. Dysentery, typhoid, pneumonia, they whisper through the ranks like curses. The doctors do what they can, but supplies are low, and hope runs even lower. You can smell sickness before you see it. That sour, metallic scent that clings to everything. The air grows heavy with it, a fog of sweat, decay, and despair. Tents turn into wards, filled with men too weak to stand, their eyes sunken, their voices hoarse from calling out for water or mercy. You walk through the rows and see your reflection in their fever-glazed eyes, and for a heartbeat, you wonder if you'll be next. The nurses' boys, barely older than the sick themselves, move among them, wiping brows, changing bandages, whispering comforts they barely believe. The surgeon, sleeves rolled up and face pale with exhaustion, boils his instruments again and again, though he knows it makes little difference. Outside, the healthy ones try to keep distance, but disease doesn't care about discipline. It finds its way into every cup, every cough, every shared blanket. Soon, the line between the living and the dying blurs. You stop asking who's missing, because the answer is always the same. At night, the camp goes quiet, except for the sound of labored breathing, a kind of low, steady chorus that never stops. You lie awake listening, counting the gasps, wondering which ones will fade before dawn. Some men pray, others curse, most just stare at the tent ceiling and wait. Hunger gnaws at you constantly. The rations are spoiled more often than not, and even when they're not, they taste like dust. You boil coffee made from burnt corn, chew on hardtack so tough it breaks your teeth, and pretend it's a feast. The rain turns the ground to mud, and you sleep in it because there's nowhere else. When the fever comes, it hits like fire. Your head spins, your body shakes, and the world blurs into a haze of pain and sweat. You dream of home, of clean sheets and cold water, but when you wake, you're still in the same stink, surrounded by men dying quietly beside you. Sometimes, the healthy bury the sick while they're still breathing, because there's no time to tell the difference. The worst part isn't the smell or the hunger, it's the helplessness. You can fight a man. You can't fight this. It creeps into your body, takes what it wants, and leaves you hollow. You start to envy the ones who fall quickly, the ones who don't linger. But still, you keep moving, keep breathing, because what else can you do? You start to believe survival isn't about strength. It's about stubbornness, about refusing to give in to the rot. In the rare moments of calm, you sit outside the tents and watch the sky change colors, gray to orange, to blackened for a second. You remember what it felt like to be clean, to be whole. Then a cough breaks the silence, and the spell shatters. The disease never stops. It waits, patient as death itself. You realize this camp isn't just a home between battles, it's a battlefield of its own. One where the enemy doesn't carry a rifle, but still wins more often than not. Every now and then, the war forgets about you. The guns fall silent, the sky clears, and for a brief, impossible moment, it feels like the world remembers how to breathe again. You wake to sunlight instead of cannon fire, birdsong instead of groans, and you almost don't trust it. The air smells different, clean, alive. You walk out of your tent and see the men stretched on the grass, their boots off, faces tilted toward the warmth like flowers reaching for the sun. Someone's cooking, the scent of salt pork and coffee curling through the camp, and your stomach growls for the first time in days. The sound of laughter drifts from somewhere near the wagon's low, easy laughter that doesn't sound forced. It's strange how quickly men can forget the noise of battle when given a few hours of silence. You sit by the fire, holding your tin cup, watching the smoke rise and twist against the sky. And for a moment, you can almost pretend this is just another morning in another life. Someone starts humming a tune from Home Soft Familiar and others join in, their voices rough but sincere. You find yourself humming too. The sound fills the camp, fragile but defiant, like a prayer whispered into the wind. You look around and realize that everyone here, every scarred and weary face, is bound by the same fragile hope that one day this will end and you'll all make it home. For a while, you talk about what you'll do when it's over. One man wants to see the ocean again. Another dreams of planting corn in his father's field. You talk as if you believe it because you need to. When the sun climbs high, you lie back and close your eyes, letting the warmth sink into your bones. You forget the mud, the sickness, the fear. You forget the sound of men dying. All that exists is the gentle rustle of the wind and the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. It's enough. Later, as dusk falls, the camp glows with firelight. Someone pulls out a battered fiddle, and the music begins slow, mournful, but beautiful. The men clap, laugh, dance on tired legs. For a few minutes, the war feels very far away. You think about how strange it is that peace, when it comes, feels both fragile and fierce-like, something you have to protect. You look at your brothers, the men who've carried you through mud and madness, and you realize that these are the moments you'll remember when it's over, not the battles, not the fear, but this, the small mercies, the laughter, the music, the golden light on faces too young to look so old. As night deepens, the fire burns low, and one by one, the voices fade. You sit watching the sparks drift upward, glowing like tiny souls against the black sky. Somewhere in the distance, a cannon rumbles, a reminder that the war still waits. But for now, you let the sound fade into the night. You wrap your blanket tighter, breathe in the smell of wood smoke and damp earth, and close your eyes. The last thing you hear before sleep takes you is the soft hum of someone singing an old lullaby, the kind mothers used to sing by lamplight. For the first time in a long time, your dreams aren't filled with death, but with home, with fields of wheat, the creak of a porch swing, the sound of rain on a roof. Tomorrow, the war will come back. It always does. But tonight belongs to peace, and that for now is enough. When the cannons stop, the silence feels wrong, too wide, too hollow, like the world itself has forgotten how to make a sound. The air is thick with smoke and iron, the stench of powder and blood hanging so heavy that every breath tastes like rust. You step out from behind the line and see what's left, the battlefield stretched before you. No longer a place of glory, but a graveyard without order. The ground is torn and blackened, littered with bodies that only hours ago were men shouting, running, laughing. The flags are shredded, half buried in the mud. Crows circle overhead, already claiming the dead. You walk carefully, not out of fear, but respect. Each step feels like an intrusion on something sacred. The cries of the wounded rise through the stillness, weak and distant, and the surgeons move among them like ghosts, their coats soaked in blood, their hands trembling from too much death. You kneel beside a man whose face you almost recognize. Press a canteen to his lips, Whisper something, anything, to fill the space between his gasps. There's no heroism left here, only mercy. Around you, soldiers move silently, collecting rifles, carrying bodies, searching for friends. Some call out names that go unanswered. Others don't bother, they already know. The sun sinks low, turning the smoke into gold. And for a fleeting second, the whole field looks almost beautiful, until the wind shifts and the smell brings you back. You help dig the trenches where the dead will rest. The sound of shovels biting into wet earth becomes the rhythm of evening. No one speaks much. The language of exhaustion says everything. You see a boyno, older than 16, trying to lift a body twice his size, his hands slipping, his tears mixing with mud. You help him because that's all there is left to do. When the last grave is filled, someone says a prayer. It's short, rough, half forgotten, but everyone bows their heads just the same. The sky darkens, stars blink awake, one by one, and the battlefield fades into shadow. You sit down on a fallen log, too tired to think, and realize your hands won't stop shaking. There's blood on them, someone else's, maybe yours, and you can't tell the difference anymore. The war has blurred every line that used to make sense. Right and wrong, victory and defeat, life and death. All that's left is survival. You stare at the horizon and try to remember why you came here in the first place. Duty, pride. The words feel small now, hollow. You light a small fire, watch the sparks drift into the night, and think of home, the color of the sky at dusk, the smell of fresh rain on dirt roads, the sound of your name spoken softly by someone who loved you before all this began. You wonder if they'd even recognize you now. The silence deepens. Somewhere far off, an owl calls, its voice echoing over the field of the fallen. You close your eyes, whisper a name into the dark, and let the night take you. Tomorrow, the orders will come again. You'll march, you'll fight, you'll bury more men. But for this moment, you sit still among the ghosts and listen to the quiet, knowing it's the closest thing to peace you've earned. The orders come quietly, without ceremony. The war is over, the fighting done. But there's no cheer, no celebrations, just silence, as if no one knows what to do with peace anymore. You pack what's left of your things, your rifle, your blanket. A few letters folded soft from too much reading and fall in line. The march home begins at dawn. The roads are broken, scarred by cannon wheels and the weight of years of marching boots. Every mile feels heavier than the one before. You pass through towns that look like ghosts of themselves, burned walls, shattered windows, trees stripped bare by smoke. The people you meet don't wave or shout, they just stare, faces pale with hunger, eyes hollow from loss. You can't tell which side they were on, and it doesn't seem to matter anymore. Everyone lost something in this war. The men walk in silence, boots crunching on gravel, dust rising like memory around them. Some limp on makeshift crutches, others lean on friends. You see one soldier still carrying a musket on his shoulder, though there are no more enemies left to shoot. Maybe he just doesn't know how to put it down. The sun burns hot by day, the cold bites deep by night. You sleep in barns, under bridges, sometimes in open fields where the stars look too bright to clean for a world like this. When it rains, you don't even bother to move. You've been wet before. You'll be wet again. You count the days, but time feels strange now, stretched and warped. Every step takes you closer to home, yet part of you feels further away. You've forgotten what it's like to live without the sound of orders, without the weight of the uniform. At the edge of one ruined town, you see a group of children playing in the mud. Their laughter sharp and sudden, like the first bird call of spring. It startles you. You'd almost forgotten that sound existed. For a moment, something breaks inside you. You turn your face away so the others don't see your tears. As you walk on, the land slowly begins to heal. Grass pushes through the blackened soil. Trees sprout green again. Rivers run clear. Nature, it seems, forgives faster than men. You start to talk more small things at first. Someone hums a tune. Someone else tells a joke. It feels strange on your tongue, like a language you used to know. You laugh once, and it feels like a betrayal, but it also feels like breathing. Along the way, men peel off one by one, leaving the column when the road bends toward their own homes. You shake their hands, clap their backs, promise to write, knowing you probably never will. The line grows smaller with each mile, until you realize there are only a few of you left. You can't remember when you last saw a battlefield, but it's still inside. Youth, the noise, the fear, the smell of blood. You wonder if it will ever leave. When the horizon finally shows something familiar, hill, a steeple, a river bend, you stop walking and just stand there, staring. You think you should run, shout, weep, but you don't. You just breathe. Because the truth is, you don't feel like the same person who left. The road home isn't about distance. It's about becoming someone who can live again. And as the wind brushes your face, carrying the scent of soil and smoke, and something like freedom, you realize you're almost there. Not just home, but human again. You think the war will stay behind once you leave the battlefield, but it doesn't. It follows you like a shadow that never tires, slipping into your footsteps, breathing down your neck. The guns may be silent, but the echoes remain, buried deep in your chest. At night, when the world is still, you hear them again, the sharp crack of musket fire, the screams, the thunder of hooves. You wake in the dark, heart racing, hand reaching for a rifle that isn't there. For a moment, you don't know where you are. The walls around you feel too small, too clean. The silence feels dangerous. You walk through your town and see familiar faces, but they look at you differently now, as if trying to read the things you can't say. You smile when they speak, nod when they thank you, but the words don't touch you. You feel like a ghost drifting through your own life. The noise of a hammer striking an anvil sounds like gunfire. The smell of smoke makes your stomach twist. You tell yourself it's over, but your body doesn't believe it. The war rewired you. Every sound, every shadow, every silence means something it shouldn't. At church, you kneel when others pray, but your thoughts drift elsewhere, to the faces of men you left behind, to the promises you made over shallow graves. You wonder if their souls found peace, or if they're still marching somewhere, lost between worlds. You catch yourself calling their names, sometimes softly, as if they might answer. The nights are the worst. Sleep is a battlefield of its own visions of fire, of mud, of hands reaching out from the dark. You see them all, the ones who didn't make it home, their eyes full of the same question: why you and not me? You have no answer. You try to fill the silence with work, You mend fences, chop wood, anything to keep your hands busy, because when they're still, your mind starts to wander. You find yourself tracing scars you don't remember getting. You carry the war inside your skin now, in every twitch, every heartbeat. Some days, you sit by the river and watch the water move. It doesn't care about the past. It just flows, endless and forgiving. You wish you could be like that, but every reflection in that water shows two faces, yours and the man you used to be before the war. You realize they'll never quite merge again. You try to talk about it once to someone who asks, but when you open your mouth, the words fall apart. How do you explain the sound of a man's last breath? The way blood steams in winter air? The way the world smells after a battle? You can't, so you stop trying. You smile more, laugh when you should, eat when you can. On the outside, you look whole, but inside, you're still marching, still hearing the bugle call in the distance. The war took more than your friends, more than your youth tick, the version of you that believed peace was simple. One night, you sit outside, watching the stars, and you realize something. The ghosts aren't your enemies. They're the proof you survived. Every memory, every nightmare, every name you can't forget, they're the weight that keeps you human. You'll never truly leave the war behind, but maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is learning to live with it, to let the ghosts walk beside you instead of inside you. And as the dawn breaks, washing the world in pale gold, you whisper a quiet promise to them all. I'll keep walking, because that's what the living do. The road bends, the trees thin, and suddenly, there it is, home. It looks smaller than you remember. The fields overgrown, the fence leaning, the roof patched with fresh wood that isn't yours. For a long time, you just stand there at the gate, afraid to move. Afraid that if you take another step, the image will break and vanish like smoke. Your heart pounds in your chest harder than it ever did in battle. You can hear the creak of the porch swing, the faint clatter of dishes inside. Life still going on, quietly, without you. You walk slowly, every step heavier than the last, and the door opens before you reach it. She stands there, older, thinner maybe, her hair tied back the way she always wore it. Her hands fly to her mouth, and for a moment neither of you speaks. Then she says your name, soft as a prayer, and the world shifts back into place. You want to run to her, to lift her, to laugh and cry all at once. But instead you just stand there, trembling, because you don't know how to be that man anymore, the one who left. She crosses the distance first, her arms wrapping around you. And for the first time in years, you feel warmth that isn't from fire or fever. She smells like soap and soil and safety. You hold her too tightly, afraid she might disappear. When she finally pulls back, she studies your face like she's searching for the boy she used to know beneath the scars and the hollow eyes. Inside, the house feels both familiar and foreign. The chair by the fire, the chipped plates, the ticking clock, all the same, yet changed. As if time has shifted the edges of everything. You sit down and realize you don't know what to do with your hands. She talks about the neighbors, the crops, the letters she sent, but her voice sounds far away. You nod, you smile, but your eyes keep drifting to the window, to the world outside, because part of you still expects to hear a bugle call, to see smoke rising in the distance. That night, you lie in a real bed for the first time in years. The mattress feels too soft, the room too quiet. You wake in the dark, heart racing, the old fear crawling up your spine. It takes a long time to remember where you are. She stirs beside you, murmurs something, touches your arm, and the shaking stops. You whisper that you're fine, though you're not sure what fine even means anymore. In the morning, sunlight spills across the floor, golden and pure. You step outside barefoot, the grass cool against your skin, the birds singing as if the world never knew war. You breathe in deeply, the scent of earth and dew filling your lungs, and for the first time, it doesn't hurt. You walk down to the river, the same one you played in as a boy, and kneel at its edge. The reflection in the water startles you, the beard, the lines, the eyes that have seen too much. But when you look closer, you see something else beneath it, a faint glimmer of the man you were, not gone, just waiting. You dip your hands into the cold water and let it run over your face, washing away the dust, the ghosts, the war. When you stand, the wind moves through the trees, and for a moment, it almost sounds like applause. You smile, small and uncertain, but real. Coming home, you realize, isn't about crossing a distance. It's about learning to stay, to live in the quiet again, to love what's left, to rebuild with what remains. You turn back toward the house, the smoke curling gently from the chimney. And for the first time in forever, you believe that maybe peace is something you can learn to keep. Years pass, and the war becomes a story people tell, something buried between the lines of history books and whispered by old men on porches when the evenings turn long and soft. You're one of them now, sitting beneath a fading sky. The crickets starting their low chorus as the day folds itself into night. The fields around you are green again, the fences rebuilt, the world somehow mended in the way nature always finds to heal. But inside, the scars never fade. They just stop bleeding. You look at your hands, rough and lined, and remember what they once held: a musket, a shovel, a letter that smelled like home. The memories come and go, like ghosts drifting through the mind. The flash of cannon fire in the fog, the laughter of men around a fire, the weight of silence after a battle ends. You used to hate remembering, but now you hold on to it gently, like something fragile. Because the truth is, forgetting feels like betrayal. You talk sometimes to the younger ones, those born after the guns went quiet. They listen with wide eyes, trying to imagine the chaos, the courage, the fear. You tell them the war wasn't about glory, or flags, or speeches. It was about survival, about holding on to your humanity when the world around you demanded you lose it. You tell them that the bravest thing a man can do isn't to charge into gunfire, it's to live afterward, to wake up each morning and choose kindness despite everything. They nod, but you can tell they don't truly understand. How could they? You pray they never have to. When you walk through town now, people nod respectfully. Some call you sir, others hero, but you never quite know what to say. The word feels too big for what you were, just a scared man who kept walking. You visit the graves, sometimes the men who didn't come home. The grass grows thick there, dotted with wildflowers. You kneel, touch the names carved into stone, whisper old jokes, old promises. You tell them the world did move on, but not without remembering. You tell them that peace for all its silence is harder to live with than war, but it's worth it. When the wind moves through the cemetery, it sounds almost like their laughter. You stand and tip your hat, your heart heavy and full all at once. Back home, the days run together, planting, harvesting, small joys that once seemed impossible. Some evenings, your wife hums a song while you sit by the fire, and for a while the world feels whole. You think about the letters you wrote during the war, and you wish you'd written more, not about death, but about life, about what it meant to still have it. Sometimes, when the sky burns red at sunset, you see the war in its colors, the blood, the dust, the fire, and then the light softens, fading into blue, and all that remains is peace. You close your eyes and breathe it in, slow and deep. You've learned that survival isn't a single act, it's a lifetime of them. You carry the war not as a wound now, but as a reminder that even in the darkest times, men can still be kind, still sing, still hope. As the night settles, you rise from your chair and look out across the quiet fields. The stars above are sharp and clear, scattered like embers in the dark. You whisper a final thank you to those who fell, to those who stood beside you, to the boy you once were who somehow made it through. Then you turn toward the house, the warm light spilling from the doorway, and step inside. The door closes softly behind you. The war, at last, is over.